hope that it's understood in all the praise that I invest in Valtteri Puustinen and have been doing so for a long time, that it's somewhat, not entirely, but somewhat symbolic. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Penguins 4, Canadiens 1. A really, other than the first 10 minutes, in which the home team seemed to be sleeping again. Solid overall showing, though. Gave up the first goal on a really bad Chris Letang giveaway. Got it back on a Letang shot. Brian Rust scores 6 seconds into a power play. Gasp. And then 21 seconds later, Puustinen passes across to Drew O'Connor for a blazing wrist shot over Caden Primo's blocker that made it 3-1. Letang would hit another one of those 200-foot empty netters, and that would be that. But I show up for work here today, as I often do, laying figurative flowers at Puustinen's feet, because I see a young player who can make a difference in Pittsburgh. And that, my friends, is what's known as a unicorn. It's been a long time since anyone's done that. And that's part of the reason that I get as spirited as I do when he gets buried. Even if it's just for a shift, never mind a game. So I'm going to run through the last week or so in the life of Puustinen to try to make some sense of this for you. If you go back to the Chicago game a week ago, I was up in the press box, the United Center, and if you've ever been to that place, that's really, really far. It's a massive arena, way too big, actually, built for Michael Jordan and nobody else. But I kept a close eye on Puustinen because he had just come back from the minors, and I hadn't been all that delighted by his game before his demotion. You might recall on this show that I kind of had a shrug when he was sent back. Well, I was very impressed with what I saw out there. The advanced analytics, such as they are in hockey, meaning, shots on goal, shot attempts, the end, they weren't favorable to him. I didn't care. I saw something in his step that I really liked. I saw something that looked a little different. And when I asked Mike Sullivan out there afterward what was his view of the kids showing in general, he gave a rather lengthy and detailed answer, and somewhere in there he included something about getting his speed back. And there wasn't a whole lot of time. It wasn't a back and forth discussion or anything. So I just kind of promised myself I was going to ask him what he meant by that some point soon. And I did that last night. And I want to play for you the entire exchange. Give this a listen. It's good stuff.
Mike, you mentioned something the other night about Puustinen finding his speed since he came back. First of all, what did you mean by that? Second, did any of it show itself tonight?
Yeah, I think he's got another gear.
Okay.
And it did show itself tonight on the forecheck. He chased a couple of defensemen down, forced turnovers, and I think that the step that he's picked up, maybe more, is really evident in his overall game. He's always been a guy that has good offensive instincts. We think there's more there to his ability to help us produce offense. He can score goals. He's shown an ability to score goals at the American League level. He's good. He's got a great one-timer. So he's getting better and better with every game he's playing. We're real excited about the progress that he's made. And I think the foot speed that he's picked up, I think, is really going to help him moving forward. He's in better shape also. He's more fit. He's in much better shape. And that's just part of the learning process that a young kid goes through, and just understanding what type of condition that you have to be in to play in the NHL. And he's done a great job just working in the off season and doing a better job with his diet, nutrition, and things of that nature. So all of those things are important to set players up for success. He's really embraced everything that our support staff has kind of helped him with, and to his credit, he continues to get better and better. We're really excited about his game.
Here's why I'm sharing this with you. I've been critical, and by the way, will continue to be critical, when young players like Puustinen don't get a fair chance for the simple reason that they're stuck behind some lousy veteran who just knows his way around the world, but isn't necessarily able to play NHL-level hockey anymore. And I really didn't like that Puustinen was a healthy scratch after that showing in Chicago, meaning for the loss against the Kings. And I didn't even like that he was benched for a single shift last night after a not very good giveaway in the defensive zone when the Penguins were trying to protect the lead. Just let him play through it, It's not like he's going to stop trying. And it's also not like he didn't know he messed up. A pretty bright kid. But upon hearing Sullivan's explanation that I just played for you, I have a little bit more of an understanding and an empathy for what coaches will go through whenever they do sit or scratch a young player. We don't always know these things. I didn't know this about Puustinen until Sullivan had spoken it out loud just now. I didn't know that NHL level fitness wasn't an issue. That's not to say that the kid is lazy, and that's not at all what Sullivan was suggesting, just going through his words there. Young players, and this applies to all sports, have to elevate their level of conditioning from minors to majors. That's football, baseball, you name it. Mike Tomlin of the Steelers has a saying that he speaks often over at their headquarters. He universally laughs off any rookie's conditioning level and tells them that in year 2 they need to be in NFL shape. That's just a policy he's adopted. He sees almost no chance that athlete will show up at the Steelers facility in the condition that they need to be in. And then sure enough, year 2 comes along and we'll see these same people, these kids, come walking into the locker room looking completely different. So that's what Sullivan was getting at, and that's, again, new to me. Now, all that said, I'll reiterate, kid needs to play. He needs to play. Drew O'Connor needs to play. Any other young players that they have or acquire, including now Emil Bemstrom they picked up for next to nothing last night in the middle of the game from the Blue Jackets, he needs to play. He's 24. Let him fly around. Have some energy added to this process. Heaven knows they could use it. When we come back, J1Q. Today's J1Q comes from Paul, who asks, DK, can this experiment with Matthew Phillips be done? My God, why is he in the lineup, let alone getting top 6 minutes over the likes of Drew O'Connor and Valtteri Puustinen? There's a saying in this business, and probably a lot of other businesses, but specifically to the reporting / podcasting / writing business, that there's low-hanging fruit. Well, I don't even mean that in a punny way towards someone who might be the smallest hockey player I've ever seen. But this young man, with all due respect for his having made it to the NHL, which is an achievement unto itself, and I'm not being remotely snarky when I say that, has no business being in this league. I want to know who the evaluator was that recommended claiming him off waivers. I want to know who laid eyes on him, who came up with the analytics to support the acquisition. I have not ever seen in my life someone so visibly overmatched wearing a Pittsburgh sweater. And it got to the point, I'm not kidding you, where he's coming out for the second period. He's still on Gino's line. And I'm feeling terrible for him. I'm thinking, just do like a mercy killing or something. Get him off the rink. Not for our sake, but for his own. He was getting ragdolled at every turn. Anytime he approached the Montreal zone with the puck, he would just basically hand it to the Canadians, and they would come back the other way. And if this was one bad game, look, everyone who's ever played hockey other than Mario Lemieux had a bad game. This is all he's done every single shift since he's been here. So this isn't just some crisis in confidence. I have the most amazing statistic to share with you. You ready for this? As you point out, he opened the game on a line with Gino and O'Connor. 5 minutes and 3 seconds of ice time for that unit. Montreal attempted 15 shots to Pittsburgh's 1. I'm not kidding. You ready now? Okay, so give Mike Sullivan credit, at least after the fact. He ended up making a switch. This was early in the second period or late in the first. There might have been one shift late in the first, but he put Puustinen out there, meaning with Gino and O'Connor, and the shot attempts were Pittsburgh 11, Montreal 1 from that point forward. So 15-1 in the Canadiens' favor, and then 11-1 in the Penguins' favor. I mean, no, okay? By the time you're hearing this show at sunrise, he already should have been, I don't want to be mean. He can't be on this roster. He can't be on this roster for another day. And look, it's not his fault they thought he was an NHL player. It's theirs. This was a massive lapse in judgment at a really, really lousy time. Second line next to Gino? Come on. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins, and we will do another one of these Monday to talk about the big game against the Flyers.